Victor Crane's fist closed around Elena's hair and slammed her face against the counter. "Your daddy's payment just doubled, sweetheart." Blood dripped from her lip. The coffee pot shattered on the floor. 12 customers sat frozen. Not one moved. Under a corner booth, a Belgian Malinois named Ghost rose silently. His amber eyes locked on the man hurting the girl, and the stranger in the worn mechanic's jacket, the one who hadn't spoken in 40 minutes, finally looked up from his cold coffee. What happened next would change this town forever. Before we continue, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And if this story moves you, please subscribe and follow this journey to the very end. Victor Crane's hand tightened in Elena's hair. He yanked her head back until her throat was exposed, until she could feel his breath hot against her ear.
"I asked you a question, sweetheart."
"I heard you." Elena's voice didn't waver. Blood ran down her chin from where her lip had split against the counter, but her eyes stayed fixed on his. "And my answer is no." Victor laughed. It was a sound that made the temperature in the diner drop 10 degrees. "No?" He twisted his grip. Elena's hands flew to his wrist, her fingernails digging into his skin. "Did you hear that, boys? Little Elena says no." Behind him, Rico cracked his knuckles. Blade pulled a switchblade from his pocket and began cleaning his fingernails with the tip. "Maybe she needs a lesson in economics," Rico said. "Maybe she does." Victor released Elena's hair. She stumbled back against the coffee machine, one hand pressed to her bleeding mouth, the other braced against the counter to keep herself upright. "Here's how this works." Victor leaned forward, placing both palms flat on the counter. "Your father owes me $2,000 this month. But see, costs have gone up. Inflation. You understand inflation, don't you? I understand that you're a thief." "Wrong answer." Victor's hand shot out. He grabbed her wrist and twisted until she gasped. $4,000. By Friday. Or this place burns to the ground with your old man inside it. "Let her go." The voice came from the corner booth. Quiet. Calm. The kind of calm that stopped conversations and made hard men turn around slowly. Victor turned. The stranger was standing now, 6 feet tall, broad shoulders, gray threaded through dark hair that needed cutting. His hands hung loose at his sides. His eyes were fixed on Victor with an intensity that most people couldn't hold for more than a few seconds. And beside him, a dog. Belgian Malinois, 70 pounds of muscle and training, ears forward, weight balanced, watching. "Mind your own business, old man." Victor's voice carried a warning. "This doesn't concern you."
"You've got your hand on a woman who doesn't want to be touched.
That concerns me." "Do you know who I am?" "I know what you are. That's enough." Victor released Elena's wrist. He turned fully, sizing up the stranger with the practiced eye of a man who had broken 100 people and expected to break 100 more. 3 against 1, Grandpa, and that mutt doesn't count." "He counts." "Yeah?" Victor smiled. "Let's test that theory. Rico, Blade, teach this hero a lesson." Rico moved first. He was fast for his size, a straight charge, arms wide, the kind of tackle that worked on men who didn't know how to redirect force. The stranger stepped left. His hand caught Rico's wrist, pulled, twisted. Momentum became weapon. Rico's face hit the floor hard enough to crack teeth. Blade was already coming. The knife flashed, aimed low, seeking gut. Ghost intercepted. The dog didn't bark, didn't snarl. He hit Blade at the knee, knocked him off balance, sent the knife spinning across the linoleum. Before Blade could recover, 70 pounds of judgment stood over him, teeth inches from his throat, a low sound vibrating from deep in his chest. Victor stared. The whole thing had taken 4 seconds. "Your boys are down." The stranger's voice hadn't changed. Still quiet, still calm. You can join them, or you can walk out that door. Your choice.
Do you have any idea what you've just done?
I stopped a man from hurting a woman. In my experience, that's never the wrong choice. Victor's hand moved toward his jacket. Don't. You think I'm afraid of you? I think you should be afraid of him. The stranger nodded toward Ghost, who still stood over Blade, every muscle coiled. I train that dog in places you can't pronounce. He's taken down men twice your size, and right now, he's waiting for me to give the word. Victor's hand stopped. This isn't over. Tonight it is. Get your boys and get out. The silence stretched. Elena watched from behind the counter, one hand still pressed to her bleeding lip, her heart hammering so hard she could feel it in her throat. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then Victor blinked. Rico, Blade, we're leaving. He snapped his fingers. Rico was struggling to his feet, holding his jaw. Blade hadn't moved, his eyes still fixed on Ghost's teeth. Blade, now.
Call off the dog. The stranger looked at Ghost.
Release. Ghost held for one more heartbeat, long enough to make a point, then stepped back. His eyes never left Blade as the man scrambled to his feet, never looked away as the three of them retreated toward the door. Victor stopped at the threshold. You made a mistake tonight, hero. A big one. Maybe. You don't know who you're dealing with. I know exactly who I'm dealing with. The stranger's voice hardened.
A bully who hurts women because he's too weak to face anyone who fights back.
I've seen 100 like you, in places you can't imagine. And they all had one thing in common. What's that? They all thought they were scary, right up until they weren't. Victor's face twisted with rage. But he left. The door slammed behind him. Through the rain-streaked window, Elena watched the three men pile into a black SUV. Tires squealed. Headlights disappeared into the night. The diner exhaled.
Elena became aware of sounds returning. The hum of the lights, the drip of coffee from the broken pot, the soft gasps of customers remembering how to breathe.
She looked at the stranger. He was staring at his hands. They weren't shaking. Something in his expression said they should have been. Mister, he looked up. Mister, who are you? The stranger hesitated. His dog pressed against his leg, a warm, solid presence that seemed to anchor him to the present moment.
I'm just someone who was here. That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got.
Elena stared at him. Blood still dripped from her chin. Her wrist throbbed where Victor had twisted it. But she was standing. She was alive. And for the first time in 3 years, she had seen Victor Crane back down. Your coffee's cold. Let me get you fresh. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. Her voice firmed. I want to. Sit down, please. The stranger looked at his dog.
The dog's tail wagged once. Barely a movement, but meaningful. He returned to his booth. He sat down. He waited.
Elena's hand shook as she made the coffee. She watched them tremble and willed them to stop, but they wouldn't. 3 years. 3 years of Victor's visits, of his threats, of watching her father age a decade in months. 3 years of pain and praying and hoping it would end. And now this. A stranger. A dog.
4 seconds of violence that had accomplished more than all her prayers combined.
She carried the cup to his booth, set it down carefully. Steam rose from the dark liquid. I have to know something. Okay. When you stood up, when you did what you did, she paused. Were you scared? The stranger considered the question. No. How? 3 men, armed, and you just... Being scared requires thinking about what might happen, I didn't have time to think. Just time to move.
That's not normal.
No, it's not. Elena looked at the dog. He had settled back under the table, chin on his paws, eyes half closed, but watchful.
What's his name?
Ghost. Like the spirit? Like the thing you become when you spend 3 years trying to disappear. Elena felt something shift in her chest. Not fear, not gratitude. Something else. Recognition.
Thank you for what you did.
My father, he would have come out, but his heart isn't good, and I couldn't let him. You don't have to explain.
I want to, her voice cracked. People don't help. That's what I've learned. They look away because it's easier, because getting involved is dangerous, because
the world teaches us that kindness is weakness. Elena stopped.
Yes, exactly that.
The stranger looked at her, young, scared, but standing. The world is wrong, is it? I spent 20 years learning how to hurt people. That's what the Navy trained me for. That's what I was good at. He sipped his coffee. Hot now. Bitter. But here's the thing they never tell you. Hurting people is easy. Anyone can do it. The hard thing, the brave thing, is choosing not to. Then why did you? Tonight. You could have stayed in your booth. You could have looked away like everyone else. The stranger glanced at Ghost. He wouldn't let me.
The dog?
He reminded me of something I've been trying to forget.
What?
The stranger didn't answer. The kitchen door swung open. A small man emerged, silver hair, weathered face, eyes that held 4 decades of hard work and harder choices. He moved slowly, carefully, like every step cost him something he couldn't afford to lose. Miguel Morales, Elena's father. He stopped at the edge of the counter, staring at the stranger with an expression that mixed gratitude, shame, and something deeper, something broken. I should have been out there.
Papa, don't.
I should have protected my daughter. Instead, I hid, like a coward.
You're not a coward. You have a heart condition. You could have...
Died? Maybe. Maybe that would have been better than watching from the kitchen while a stranger risked his life for my family.
Mr. Morales.
The stranger's voice was soft. There's no shame in surviving. Trust me, I know. Miguel looked at him. You were military. It wasn't a question. Yes. I can tell, the way you moved, the way you speak. Miguel paused. I came here from Mexico, 1985. I was 18. My father stayed behind to give us time to cross. I never saw him again. The diner was silent. Every day, Miguel continued, I ask myself, was it worth it? His sacrifice, my survival, building this place, raising my daughter. Every day, I wonder if I've earned the life he gave me. You built something. You raised her. That's not nothing. It feels like nothing when I can't protect her.
Papa, stop, please.
Miguel's eyes glistened. What's your name, son?
Jack Brennan.
Jack. Miguel nodded slowly. I don't have much money. I can't repay you for what you did. But if there's anything at all...
There isn't.
Please. Jack looked at the old man, at the decades of struggle written in his face, at the pride that bent but wouldn't break. Your daughter makes good coffee. That's enough. Miguel blinked. Then, for the first time, he smiled. She learned from her mother. God rest her soul.
Papa.
Elena's voice caught. Don't start crying. You know that gets me going.
I'm not crying. My eyes are adjusting to the light.
There's barely any light in here.
Then they're adjusting to the darkness.
Jack felt his lips twitch. He hadn't smiled in a long time. He'd forgotten what the muscles felt like. I should go. It's late. Wait, Elena held up a hand. Let me get you something. Food, on the house. You look like you haven't eaten in days. I'm fine. You're lying. Jack stopped. Elena's chin lifted. The blood on her lip was drying now, turning dark against her skin. But her eyes were fierce. I've been waiting tables since I was 15. I know what hungry looks like. And you, mister, you look starving. So sit down, shut up, and let me feed you. Ghost's tail thumped against the floor. Traitor, Jack thought. But he sat. 20 minutes later, he was staring at an empty plate. Eggs, toast, hash browns, something with peppers that made his eyes water, but tasted like the first real food he'd had in weeks. The other customers had left, one by one. The elderly woman with her coffee, the trucker who'd been fascinated by his phone, the young couple who'd studied their menus like escape plans. Now it was just Jack and Ghost and the Morales family. Elena slid into the booth across from him. Can I ask you something personal? You can ask, might not answer. Fair enough. She folded her hands on the table. What happened to you? What do you mean? You said you spent 20 years learning how to hurt people, but you also said choosing not to hurt people is braver. She paused. That sounds like someone who's done both. Jack stared at her. Young, perceptive, dangerous. Yeah, he said finally. Both. Want to talk about it? No. Okay. She didn't push, didn't pry, just sat there, comfortable in the silence, like she understood that some wounds couldn't be discussed, only lived with. After a while, Jack spoke. I did things, over there. Things I can't take back, things I'm not proud of. He looked at Ghost. He saved me, more than once, from enemies, from myself, from the voice in my head that said none of it mattered. What voice? The one that tells you to give up, to stop fighting, to let the darkness win because fighting is exhausting and darkness is easy. Elena's face softened. I know that voice. Yeah? It visits me at 3 a.m, when the bills are due and the payments keep coming, and there's never enough no matter how hard I work. She glanced toward the kitchen, where Miguel was washing dishes with hands that shook. It tells me to run, to leave, to save myself, and let this place die. But you stay. I stay. Why? Elena was quiet for a moment. Because my mother built this diner, brick by brick, dream by dream. She died 3 years ago, cancer. And I promised her I would keep it alive. Her voice dropped. Some promises you can't break, even when keeping them breaks you. Jack understood that. He understood it in his bones, in his blood, in the places where words couldn't reach. Victor, he said. How long has he been coming? 3 years, right after my mother died, like he was waiting for her to go, like he knew my father would be easier to break without her. And the police? Elena laughed. It was a bitter sound. The sheriff is his uncle. Half the department is on his payroll. The other half is too scared to help. She met Jack's eyes. There's no one. We tried. We called. We reported. And nothing happened. Nothing ever happens. What about other businesses? He can't be doing this to just you. He's not. Every shop on Main Street pays him. Every restaurant. Every store. The ones who don't. She stopped. There was a man, Ramon Vega. He owned the auto parts place on 5th. He said he was going to the state police. That was a year ago. What happened? No one knows. He just disappeared. His wife still puts up flyers. His kids still wait for him to come home. Elena's voice hardened. But we all know the truth. We just can't prove it. Jack was quiet for a long moment. I should warn you about something. What? Victor isn't the kind of man who lets things go. What happened tonight? What I did? It humiliated him. In public. In front of his men. Jack's jaw tightened. He'll come back, and when he does, he'll bring worse. I know. And you're still standing here? Still open? Elena smiled. It was small, tired, but real. I told you. Some promises you can't break. Jack held her gaze for a long moment. He saw something in her eyes that he recognized. Something he hadn't seen in a long time. Not in the mirror, not in the faces of the people he passed on the street. Courage. Not the loud kind. Not the kind that announced itself with speeches and declarations. The quiet kind. The kind that showed up every day, even when showing up meant losing. Elena. Yes? Lock your doors tonight. Don't open them for anyone. And if Victor comes back, he will. When he comes back, call me. He pulled a napkin from the dispenser, wrote a number on it, slid it across the table. I'm not asking you to fight my battles, Elena said. I know. Then why are you doing this? Jack looked at Ghost. The dog looked back with those amber eyes that had seen everything Jack had seen, had survived everything Jack had survived. Because someone has to. He stood, left money on the table, more than the meal was worth. Elena opened her mouth to protest, but he was already walking toward the door. Jack! He stopped, but didn't turn. Thank you. For tonight. For standing up. Don't thank me yet. The hard part hasn't started. He pushed through the door into the cold night air. Ghost followed, pressing close against his leg. The parking lot was empty. The rain had stopped, but the clouds hung low and heavy, threatening more. Jack reached his truck, opened the door. Ghost jumped in first, settling on the passenger seat with the ease of long practice. Jack paused. He could see the diner through the darkness, the flickering neon, Elena's silhouette in the window, watching him go. Who are you? Her question echoed in his head. He didn't have an answer. Not yet. But as he started the engine and pulled out of the parking lot, Jack Brennan knew something had changed. For 3 years, he'd been running from who he used to be. Tonight, that man had come back, and he wasn't sure whether to be relieved or terrified. Victor Crane sat in the back of the SUV, ice pressed against his ego, fury burning in his chest. What do you want us to do, boss? Rico's words came out slurred. His jaw was already swelling, 2 teeth loose in their sockets. Shut up. Let me think. We could go back, torch the place, send a message. Not yet. Too many witnesses tonight. Too many phones. Blade was silent in the driver's seat. His neck bore red marks where Ghost's teeth had almost closed. That dog, Blade said finally. That wasn't a pet. That was trained. Military trained. I know what it was. And the guy, the way he moved, that wasn't bar fighting. That was, I said, I know. Victor stared out the window at the passing darkness. His wrist throbbed where Elena's nails had broken skin. His pride throbbed worse. 20 years. 20 years he'd run this town. 20 years of people looking down when he walked by. Of businesses opening their registers before he even asked. Of cops who called him sir, and judges who played golf at his uncle's club. 20 years of being the monster everyone feared. And tonight, some stranger with a dog had made him look like a fool. Find out who he is. Victor's voice was cold. I want to know everything. Where he lives, where he works, who he cares about. And then, Victor smiled. It was the smile that had made grown men cry. The smile that appeared in nightmares. Then we teach him what happens to heroes in my town. He pulled out his phone, dialed a number. Uncle Gus, it's Victor. We have a problem. He listened, nodded. No, I don't want you to handle it officially. I want you to look the other way while I handle it my way. More listening. How bad? Bad enough that I need to make an example? Bad enough that everyone in Millbrook needs to remember why they pay. He hung up. Rico and Blade exchanged glances in the rearview mirror. Where to, boss? The warehouse. Call the others. Everyone. I want them armed and ready by morning. What's the plan? Victor's eyes found the diner one last time in the side mirror. A small building. A flickering sign. A family that had dared to say no. The plan is simple. By this time tomorrow, that diner doesn't exist, and neither does anyone who tries to save it. The SUV accelerated into the night. And back in the diner, Elena Morales finished cleaning the blood from the counter, unaware that the worst was yet to come. Jack didn't sleep. He sat in his one-room apartment above the garage he'd been renting for 2 years, Ghost at his feet, a bottle of whiskey he hadn't opened on the table in front of him. The clock read 2:47 a.m. Don't look at me like that. Ghost's ears twitched. I know what you're thinking, and the answer is no. We did our part. We're done. The dog didn't blink. I'm serious. We have a life here. Quiet. Simple. No complications. Ghost's head tilted slightly. What happened to not getting involved? What happened to minding our own business? What happened to... His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Jack stared at it. Let it ring twice. 3 times. He answered. Mr. Brennan? A woman's voice. Older. Calm in the way people are calm when they've already accepted the worst. My name is Martha Webb. I was at the diner tonight. The elderly woman in the corner booth. Jack remembered. Coffee cup clutched like a shield. Eyes fixed on the table while Victor terrorized Elena. I remember. I didn't help that girl. I sat there like a coward while those men hurt her, and I didn't do a single thing. Most people don't. That's not an excuse. That's an explanation. Martha paused. I'm calling because you need to know something. About Victor Crane. About what you've gotten yourself into. Jack's hand tightened on the phone. I'm listening. Victor isn't just some small-time thug. He's connected. His uncle is Gus Holt, the sheriff. His cousin sits on the county board. Half the businesses in this town pay him protection, and the other half are too scared to speak. Why are you telling me this? Because you stood up. And standing up in Millbrook has consequences. Martha's voice dropped. The last man who tried to fight Victor was Bill Turner. Owned the hardware store on Main Street. Refused to pay. 2 weeks later, his store burned to the ground. Insurance called it electrical failure. Bill called it a message. Where's Bill now? Moved to Denver. Lost everything. Wife left him. Last I heard, he was living in a motel, drinking himself to death. Martha exhaled. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you because you deserve to know the truth. Victor doesn't lose. He can't afford to. The moment he looks weak, his whole empire crumbles. And tonight? Tonight, you made him look very weak. Jack closed his eyes. What do you want from me, Mrs. Webb? Nothing. I just wanted you to have information. What you do with it is your choice. She paused. But if you decide to fight, really fight, you won't be alone. There are others. People who are tired of living in fear. People who've been waiting for someone to go first. And you think I'm that someone? I think you already made that choice. The moment you stood up, you started something. The only question now is whether you finish it." The line went dead. Jack set down the phone. Ghost whimpered. "Yeah, I know." He didn't sleep. He sat there until dawn turned the windows gray, thinking about fire and fear and the weight of choices that couldn't be unmade. At 6:12 a.m., his phone rang again. This time, he recognized the number. The diner. "Jack?" Elena's voice was tight, controlled, the voice of someone trying very hard not to panic. "Can you come? Please? Something happened." "What is it?" "Just come. Hurry." He was out the door in 30 seconds. Ghost was already waiting by the truck. The drive to Sunrise Diner took 15 minutes. Jack made it in 8. He pulled into the parking lot, and his stomach dropped. Elena stood in front of the diner, one hand covering her mouth, the other wrapped around herself like she was trying to hold her body together. Her father knelt on the pavement beside her, not praying, reading. Spray painted across the front window, in letters 3 feet tall. "Dead dog. Dead girl. Your choice." And beneath that, smaller but somehow worse, 24 hours. Ghost growled low in his throat. Jack walked toward them, his boots crunching on shattered glass. Someone had thrown a brick through the small window beside the door. Shards glittered in the early morning light like scattered teeth. "When?" he asked. "Sometime in the night." Elena's voice was hollow. "We found it 20 minutes ago." Miguel hadn't moved. He stared at the words, his face empty, his body folding in on itself like a man watching everything he'd built turn to ash. "Mr. Morales." Nothing. "Miguel, look at me." Slowly, the old man turned. His eyes were wet. His hands were shaking. 40 years, he whispered. "I've been in this country 40 years. I worked. I saved. I built this place with my own hands. I thought if I kept my head down, if I didn't make trouble, I would be safe." His voice cracked. "I was wrong." "Papa, they're going to destroy us, Elena. Everything I built. Everything your mother and I dreamed of. They're going to burn it to the ground, and no one will stop them." "I'll stop them." The words came out before Jack could think, before he could weigh the cost, calculate the risk, remember all the reasons he'd spent 3 years running. Miguel stared at him. "Why? You don't know us. You don't owe us anything." "No." Jack looked at Ghost, at Elena, at the threat painted across the window. "But I owe someone." "Who?" Jack's jaw tightened. "Myself." Elena stepped forward. "Jack, you can't. Victor will kill you. He'll kill all of us." "He'll try." "This isn't a game. I'm not playing." Jack turned to her. "Last night, I told myself it wasn't my problem, that I'd done my part, that someone else would handle it." His voice hardened. "But there is no someone else. There never is. That's how men like Victor win. They count on good people convincing themselves that it's somebody else's responsibility." "And what are you going to do? Fight his entire organization alone?" "If I have to." "That's suicide." "Maybe, but I'm tired of running. I'm tired of looking away. I'm tired of—" He stopped. Elena was crying, not sobbing, not breaking down, just tears running silently down her face, cutting tracks through the exhaustion and fear. "What?" Jack asked. "Nothing. It's just—" She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "No one's ever said that before. No one's ever chosen to stay." "Then everyone else was wrong." Jack turned to Miguel. "Mr. Morales, I need you to tell me everything. Every business Victor extorts, every person he's threatened. Every cop he's bought. All of it. Miguel hesitated.
If I talk, and Victor finds out.
Victor's already coming for you. The only question is whether you face him alone or with help. The old man looked at his daughter, at the spray-painted threat, at the broken window and the scattered glass and the dreams crumbling around him. Then he nodded slowly.
Come inside. I'll make coffee.
And then? Miguel's eyes found the threat on the window one last time. Dead dog. Dead girl. Your choice. And then, he said quietly, we fight. 3 hours later, Jack had a list. 17 businesses paying protection. 4 that had tried to resist. All destroyed. 2 assaults never reported. 1 disappearance that everyone pretended hadn't happened. Ramon Vega. Miguel's voice was heavy. He ran the auto parts store on 5th Street. Told Victor he was going to the state police. That was a year ago. His wife still puts flowers at the store every Sunday.
And the sheriff did nothing?
Gus Holt? Miguel laughed bitterly. He's the one who told Victor about Ramon's plan. Patterson's been dirty since before I came to this town. Everyone knows. No one can prove it. Jack studied the names. 17 families. 17 dreams held hostage by fear. There has to be someone in law enforcement who isn't bought. There's one, Elena spoke up. She'd been quiet for the past hour, listening, processing. Now her voice was sharp, certain. Detective Sarah Chen. She transferred here 2 years ago from Denver. Young, idealistic. Victor's tried to buy her 3 times. She keeps saying no. How do you know? Because she eats here every Thursday. She told me herself. Elena paused. She said she became a cop to help people. And helping people doesn't include taking bribes from criminals. Can you reach her? She's probably at the station now. Jack stood. Then let's go. Wait! Miguel grabbed Jack's arm.
If you go to the police, if Victor finds out...
Victor's going to find out no matter what. The question is whether we're ready when he does. Miguel's grip tightened.
You're risking everything. For people you just met. Why?
Jack thought about the question. About the years he'd spent asking himself the same thing. In desert towns, and mountain villages, and cities whose names he couldn't pronounce. Why help strangers? Why bleed for people who would never know his name? Because if I don't, who will? He gently removed Miguel's hand. Stay here. Lock the doors. Don't let anyone in until we get back. What about you? Jack looked at Ghost. We've survived worse. The Millbrook police station sat at the edge of downtown. Jack parked across the street and killed the engine. Wait here, he told Elena. No. This could get complicated. Everything's complicated now. She opened her door. I'm coming with you. Jack wanted to argue, but he saw the set of her jaw, the fire in her eyes, and knew it would be pointless. Stay behind me. I'm not a child. No, but you're not bulletproof either. They crossed the street. Ghost walked between them, ears alert, scanning. The front desk was manned by a heavy-set woman with graying hair and suspicious eyes. Help you? I need to speak with Detective Chen. About? A crime. The woman studied him, studied Elena, studied the dog. Wait here. She disappeared through a door marked Authorized Personnel. 5 minutes passed. 10. Elena's fingers drummed against her thigh. What if she won't see us? She will. How do you know? Because good cops don't turn away people who need help. And if she's still saying no to Victor after 2 years, she's a good cop. The door opened. A young woman stepped out, maybe 30. Dark hair pulled back tight, sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her badge gleamed against her jacket, and she moved with the controlled precision of someone who had learned to watch her back. Mr. Brennan?
You know my name. Everyone knows your name after last night. You're the most talked about man in Millbrook. Sarah glanced at Elena. Miss Morales? Detective. My office. Now. She led them down a narrow hallway, past closed doors and suspicious looks, to a small room at the end. Inside, a desk, 2 chairs, a window that looked out on nothing. Sarah closed the door. Talk fast. Sheriff Holt checks the security feeds every hour. You know about Holt? I know everything. That's my problem. I know, but I can't prove. Sarah sat behind her desk. Victor Crane has been running this town for 5 years. Protection rackets, drug distribution, probably worse. Half the department is on his payroll. The other half is too scared to move. And you? I'm the idiot who thinks the law still matters. Sarah leaned forward. You stirred something up last night, Mr. Brennan. Victor's angry, scared. That makes him dangerous. He was already dangerous. Now he's desperate. There's a difference. Sarah pulled a folder from her desk. This morning I got a call from Martha Webb. She told me you might come. She also told me you were Navy. SEALs, 20 years. Then you know how this works. Victor won't come at you directly, not at first. He'll go for pressure points, people you care about, places you need. He'll make your life hell until you either break or run. I'm not running. Then you'd better have a plan, because right now it's you against an organization with money, guns, and the law in its pocket. Jack leaned back. What about you? What about me? You're a cop. You know what Victor's doing. Why haven't you stopped him? Sarah's jaw tightened. Because the last cop who tried ended up in the river. Officially, it was a suicide. Unofficially, everyone knows the truth. She paused. I have a mother. She's 68. Lives alone on the other side of town. Every time I think about going after Victor, I see her face. I see what happens if I fail. So, you do nothing. I survive. There's a difference. The silence stretched. Elena spoke. Detective Chen, my father came to this country with nothing. He built a life, a business, a family. And now Victor Crane is trying to take it all away. Her voice trembled. I understand fear. I understand wanting to protect your family. But if good people keep staying silent, Victor wins. He wins forever. And your mother grows old in a town where bullies make the rules and everyone else just accepts it. Sarah stared at her. You sound like my father, before he died. He sounds smart. He was. Too smart for this town. Sarah looked at Jack. What do you need? Information. Documentation. Anything that ties Victor to his crimes. That's a death sentence. Only if we lose. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she opened a drawer and pulled out a flash drive. I've been collecting this for 2 years. Recordings, financial records, witness statements from people too scared to go public. It's not enough for an arrest, not with Holt controlling the department. But it's a start. Jack took the drive. Why give this to me? Because you're the first person in 5 years who looked Victor in the eye and didn't back down. Sarah stood. But listen to me carefully. If you use this, there's no going back. Victor will come for you with everything he has, and Holt will help him do it. I understand. Do you? Sarah walked to the door. Victor's killed before. People have disappeared. People have burned. This isn't a game, Mr. Brennan. This is war. I've been to war. Not like this. In a war, you know who the enemy is. Here, the enemy wears badges and smiles and shakes your hand at church. Sarah opened the door. Watch your back. And watch hers. She nodded at Elena. She's the real target. You're just the obstacle.
They left the station in silence. Back in the truck, Elena stared straight ahead, hands folded in her lap.
She's right, you know. About what? I'm the target. Victor grabbed me first, threatened me first. If anything happens, it starts with me.
Nothing's going to happen to you.
You can't promise that.
No, but I can promise I'll be there when it does. Elena turned to look at him.
Why? Why do you care? You don't know me. You don't know my father. We're strangers.
Jack didn't answer right away. He watched Ghost in the rearview mirror. The dog's steady gaze, the quiet strength that had carried them both through darkness. My last deployment, he said finally. We were clearing a village in Afghanistan. Standard operation. Routine. Then everything went wrong.
What happened? Ambush. IED. Half my team went down in the first 30 seconds. Jack's voice was flat, distant. I was pinned behind a wall. Bullets everywhere. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to die there, in the dirt, 10,000 miles from home.
But you didn't.
No, because Ghost found me. Jack reached back to touch the dog's head. He took a bullet meant for my chest,
Kept fighting, even with blood pouring down his side. Dragged me to cover and stood over me until the medevac arrived. Elena's eyes glistened.
He saved your life.
He saved more than that. He saved whatever was left of my soul. Jack turned to face her. For 3 years, I've been trying to figure out why. What made me worth saving? What I was supposed to do with this second chance. And now? Last night, when I heard you refuse to bow to Victor, when I saw you stand up even though you were terrified, I finally understood. Understood what? That second chances aren't about deserving them. They're about using them. They're about seeing someone who needs help and not looking away. Elena wiped her eyes.
That's the most anyone's ever said to me.
It's the truth.
Sometimes the truth is enough.
Jack almost smiled. Let's get back to the diner. We've got work to do. They pulled into the parking lot, just as a black SUV was pulling out. Jack's blood went cold. That's Victor's car. He slammed on the brakes, threw open the door, ran toward the diner with Ghost at his heels. The front door hung open. Inside, Miguel lay crumpled on the floor. Blood pooled beneath his head. His eyes were closed. His body wasn't moving.
Papa!
Elena pushed past Jack, dropped to her knees.
Papa, wake up! Please, wake up!
Jack scanned the room. Tables overturned, chairs broken, the cash register smashed open on the floor. And on the wall, written in what looked like ketchup but smelled like iron, tick-tock. 20 hours left.
He's breathing.
Elena's voice shook.
Jack, he's breathing, but there's so much blood.
Don't move him. I'm calling an ambulance.
No hospitals.
Miguel's voice was barely a whisper. His eyes fluttered open.
Victor has people there. They'll finish what they started.
Papa, you need a doctor.
I need to stay alive long enough to see that bastard pay. Miguel grabbed Elena's hand.
Promise me. Promise me you won't give up. I promise, Papa.
Jack knelt beside them. Mr. Morales, what happened? 3 of them. Came through the back. Miguel winced.
I tried to fight. Stupid old man with a bad heart trying to fight.
You're not stupid. You're brave.
Brave is dead. I want to be smart.
Miguel's grip tightened on Elena's hand. The flash drive. Did you get it?
Yes. Then use it. Make this mean something. Make all of it mean something.
His eyes closed.
Papa? Papa!
He's unconscious. We need to stop the bleeding. Jack pulled off his jacket, pressed it against the wound on Miguel's head. Elena, I need you to focus. Can you do that? She was shaking, tears streaming down her face, but she nodded. Good. There's a first aid kit in my truck, under the passenger seat. Get it. She ran.
Jack looked down at Miguel. The old man's face was pale, his breathing shallow. 20 hours. That's all Victor had given them. 20 hours before this escalated beyond anything they could stop. Ghost whimpered. I know, boy. I know. Elena returned with the kit. Her hands were steadier now. Something had shifted in her eyes. Fear giving way to something harder. Something sharper. Rage. What do we do? She asked. First, we stabilize your father. Then we make a call.
To who? Jack pulled out his phone. Someone I should have called a long time ago. He dialed. It rang 3 times. A voice answered, rough, suspicious, familiar. Who is this? Danny, it's Jack. Silence. Then, Jack Brennan? Jack Brennan who disappeared 3 years ago without a word? Jack Brennan who missed 2 funerals and a wedding? That Jack Brennan? Yeah, that one. Son of a bitch. A pause. Heavy breathing. You better have a damn good reason for calling. I do.
I need help.
Help with what? A fight. What kind of fight? Jack looked at Elena, kneeling beside her unconscious father. At Ghost, standing guard by the door. At the bloody message on the wall. The kind where good people die if I lose. Silence again. Longer this time. Then Danny laughed. It was a hard sound, but there was warmth underneath. Brother, I've been in firefights with you. I've watched you carry wounded men 3 miles through hostile territory. I've seen you do things that would break most people. His voice dropped. Whatever you're into, I'm in too. Where are you? Millbrook, Colorado. Small town. Mountain country. About 6 hours from Denver. I know it. Passed through once. Danny paused. What's the situation? Local crime boss. Connected to the sheriff. Runs protection rackets. Probably worse. He's got 20 hours to make good on a threat, to burn down a diner and kill everyone inside. And you're standing in his way. Someone has to. Damn, Danny exhaled. That sounds like the Jack I remember. Give me 6 hours. I'll be there. Danny. Yeah? Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when we're both still breathing tomorrow. The line went dead. Elena looked up. Who was that? Danny Reyes. We served together. 3 tours. He's the best man I've ever known in a fight. Is he enough? Jack looked at the blood on the floor, at her father's pale face, at the clock on the wall, ticking away the seconds. No, but he's a start. 20 hours became 19. 19 became 18. Jack worked through the night, made calls, reached out to the names Miguel had given him. Most hung up. Some listened. A few said they'd think about it. Martha Webb was the first to arrive. She walked through the door at midnight, 72 years old, silver hair, eyes that had seen everything and forgotten nothing. Mr. Brennan, I came as soon as I heard. How did you hear? Small town. Word travels. She looked at Miguel, now resting in a back booth, Elena holding his hand. How is he? Stable, for now. And the police? Detective Chen gave us what she has. It's not enough. Let me see. Jack handed her the flash drive. Martha pulled a laptop from her bag, plugged it in, started scrolling through files. Financial records, witness statements, transaction logs. Her eyes narrowed. This is good. Very good. But she's right. It's not enough for an arrest. Not with Holt in charge. Then what do we do? We go over his head. The State Attorney General. The FBI, if we have to. Martha looked up. I was a prosecutor for 30 years before I retired. I know how to build a case. And I know how to get it in front of people who can't be bought. Can you do it in 18 hours? I can try. Martha's jaw set. but I'll need help getting it to Denver. If Victor finds out what we're doing, he won't." The door opened. Danny Reyes walked in. He was older than Jack remembered, more gray in his hair, more lines around his eyes. But he was still solid, still steady. Still the man who had pulled Jack out of hell more times than either of them could count. "Took you long enough," Jack said. "Traffic." Danny's eyes swept the room, assessed, calculated. "This the place?" "This is it." "Nice. Cozy. Blood on the wall is a nice touch." He turned to Elena. "You must be the one he's fighting for."
I'm Elena.
"Danny. Pleasure to meet you under terrible circumstances." He looked at Miguel. "That your father?"
Yes.
"He going to make it?"
He has to.
Danny nodded slowly. Then he turned back to Jack. "Okay, brother. Give me the full picture. Everything. And don't leave anything out." Jack told him. Everything. Victor. The protection racket. The threats. The evidence. The 24-hour deadline. When he finished, Danny was quiet. "That's a hell of a mess." "I know."
And you sure about this? Because once we start, there's no backing out.
"I'm sure." Danny looked at Elena, at Martha, at Ghost, who had moved to stand beside Jack like he always did when trouble was coming. "Then let's get to work." 15 hours. Martha organized the evidence. Danny planned defensive positions. Elena made coffee and refused to leave her father's side. Jack stood at the window, watching the empty street. "You should sleep," Elena said. "Can't." "Won't, you mean?" "Same thing." She walked over to stand beside him. "What are you thinking?" "That I've been in a lot of fights. Won some, lost some. But this one feels different." "Different how?" Jack turned to look at her. "Because this time, I actually care what happens. This time, it's not just about surviving. It's about protecting something that matters." "The diner?" "You." Elena's breath caught. "Jack." "I know it's crazy. I know we just met. I know this is the worst possible time to say something like this." He reached out, touched her face. "But if we don't make it through tomorrow, I need you to know. You're the reason I stayed. You're the reason I'm fighting. You're the reason I finally remembered what it feels like to care about something again." Elena's eyes glistened. "You're the reason I'm not running." "Then we'll stand together." Together. She took his hand. They stood there, watching the darkness, waiting for dawn. And somewhere in the night, Victor Crane was gathering his army. 12 hours. The first of them came at 4 a.m. Tom Crawford, owner of the hardware store on Main Street. 58 years old, thick hands, tired eyes. "Bill Turner was my best friend," he said. "Watched Victor destroy him. Couldn't do a damn thing about it." He looked at Jack. "If there's a chance, any chance of taking that bastard down, I'm in. It's dangerous. Living scared is dangerous too. Just takes longer to kill you." By sunrise, there were 8 of them. 8 people sitting in the Sunrise Diner, drinking cold coffee and eating whatever Elena could put together, planning a war they weren't sure they could win. Jack stood at the front, Ghost at his side. "I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be hard. Victor has money, guns, and the law on his side. Some of you might get hurt. Some of you might—" He paused. "Some of you might not see tomorrow." "We know the risks," Martha said. "That's why we're here." "Then here's the plan." He laid it out. Simple, direct. The kind of plan that worked because it relied on ordinary people doing extraordinary things. "Martha, you take the evidence to the State Attorney General. Danny drives and protects. Get to Denver, get it in front of someone who can act on it. Consider it done. Tom, I need you to spread the word. Every business Victor's extorted,
Every family he's threatened. Tell them what's happening. Tell them to document everything. When this goes to court, we'll need witnesses.
I know people. I'll reach them.
Elena, Jack turned to her. You stay with your father.
No.
Elena,
I said no.
she stood.
You don't get to sideline me, not after everything. I'm part of this.
You're the target.
I've been a target my whole life. The difference is, now I'm fighting back.
Jack saw the fire in her eyes, the same fire he'd seen in soldiers about to charge impossible odds. Fine, but you stay close to me. Understood?
Understood.
And the rest of us? One of the townspeople asked. Jack looked around the room, at the faces of ordinary people who had decided that enough was enough. The rest of us hold the line. Victor's going to come tonight. He won't be able to stop himself. His pride won't let him. And when he does, we'll be ready.
What if we're not enough?
Jack's jaw tightened. Then we make sure they remember us. 10 hours, Martha and Danny left for Denver. The townspeople scattered to spread the word. Elena stayed by her father's side, holding his hand, whispering prayers she wasn't sure anyone was listening to. Jack sat in the corner booth, Ghost at his feet, watching the door. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. Mr. Brennan. Victor's voice, smooth, confident. I hear you've been busy. Victor. Organizing the sheep. How inspiring. Do you really think a few scared shopkeepers can stop what's coming? I think fear only works on people who have something to lose. These people have already lost everything. You saw to that. And what about you? What do you have to lose? Jack looked at Elena. More than you know. Ah, the girl, Victor laughed. She's pretty, I'll give you that. Spirited, too. I like spirit. It's more fun to break. Touch her and I'll kill you. Big words from a washed-up soldier with a death wish. Victor's voice dropped. Here's what's going to happen. Tonight, I'm coming for that diner. I'm coming for everyone inside it. And when it's over, I'm going to make you watch while I show Elena what happens to people who say no to me. You can try. I don't try, Mr. Brennan. I succeed. That's what separates men like me from men like you. The only thing that separates us is that I'll still be standing when the sun comes up. You won't. Silence. Then Victor laughed again. But there was something underneath it. Something that might have been fear. Tonight, hero. Tonight we finish this. The line went dead. Jack set down the phone. Ghost whimpered. I know, boy. Jack reached down, touched the dog's head. But we've survived worse. He looked at Elena. She was watching him. Her eyes were wet, but her jaw was set. I heard, she said. I'm sorry. Don't be. I needed to hear it. She walked over, sat beside him. Jack. Yeah? Whatever happens tonight, whatever comes through that door, I want you to know something. What? She took his hand. You already saved me. The moment you stood up, you saved me. No matter what happens next, that doesn't change. Jack looked at their intertwined fingers, at the strength in her grip, at the courage in her eyes. Then let's make sure we both get to remember it. 8 hours. Danny called from the road. We're an hour out from Denver. Martha's got everything organized. She knows a judge who owes her a favor. Will it be enough? It'll be something. The FBI might take a few days, but the state police can move faster. If we can hold until morning, we'll hold. Jack, Danny's voice dropped. I should be there with you. You're doing what needs to be done. Feels like running.
It's not. It's the mission. And you've never failed a mission. Silence. Neither of you, brother. Don't start now. The line went dead. Jack looked at his phone. At the time. At the hours slipping away like sand through fingers. 8 hours until Victor came. 8 hours until everything changed. He looked at Ghost. At Elena. At the diner that had become a fortress, a symbol, a line in the sand. "It's time," he said quietly. Elena squeezed his hand. "Then let's be ready." The sun set at 6:47 p.m. Jack watched the last light bleed from the sky. Ghost pressed against his leg, every muscle coiled. "They're coming," he said quietly. Elena stood beside him, her phone clutched in her hand like a weapon. "How do you know?" "Because if I were Victor, I wouldn't wait. I'd hit hard, hit fast, while there's still darkness to hide in." "How long?" Jack checked his watch. 2 hours, maybe less. Behind them, the diner had transformed. Tables pushed against windows, chairs stacked near doors. 8 ordinary people positioned at every entrance, armed with whatever they could find. Baseball bats, kitchen knives, a tire iron Tom Crawford had brought from his store. Not soldiers, not warriors. Just people who had decided that tonight, fear would not win. Miguel stirred in his booth. His eyes fluttered open, found Elena. "Mija." "Papa, don't move. You need to rest." "I need to fight." "You need to live." Elena's voice cracked. "Please, for me. Just stay down and let us handle this." Miguel reached up, touched her face. "Your mother would be proud of you." "Don't talk like that. Don't talk like this is goodbye." "It's not goodbye. It's just—" He coughed, winced. "It's just in case." "There's no in case. We're going to win. Jack promised." Miguel's eyes found Jack across the room. "Did he?" Jack walked over, knelt beside the old man. "I promised I'd be here when it mattered. I promised I wouldn't run." He paused. "I can't promise we'll win, but I can promise Victor won't take anything else from you without bleeding for it." Miguel studied him for a long moment. "You love her?" It wasn't a question. Jack glanced at Elena, at the fire in her eyes, at the strength she'd found in the worst moments of her life. "Yeah, I think I do." "Then protect her. Whatever happens tonight, whatever it costs, protect her." "With my life." Miguel nodded slowly. "Then maybe we will win, after all." Jack's phone buzzed. Danny's voice came through, tight with urgency. "We made it. Martha's with the Attorney General now. He's seen the evidence. He's mobilizing the state police." "How long until they can get here?" 2 hours minimum, maybe 3. "That might be too late." "I know. We're driving back now. I'll be there as fast as I can." "Danny." "Don't say it, brother. Just hold the line. I'm coming." The call ended. Elena looked at him. 2 hours? "At least." "Victor will be here before that." "I know. Then what do we do?" Jack turned to face the room. 8 faces stared back at him. Scared. Determined. Ready. "We survive. That's all. We hold this building until help arrives or until there's no one left to hold it." His voice hardened. "Victor expects us to run. He expects us to fold. Tonight, we show him what happens when ordinary people stop being afraid." Tom Crawford stepped forward. "What's the plan?" "Simple. They'll come through the front first. That's Victor's style. He wants witnesses. He wants everyone to see him win." Jack pointed to the back. "Second wave through the kitchen. That's where they'll try to flank us." "And if they bring guns?" "They will, but Victor won't want to shoot first. Too many witnesses. Too much evidence. He'll try to intimidate us into surrendering.
And if he doesn't?
Jack's jaw tightened. Then we make it hurt. The first headlights appeared at 8:23 p.m. One SUV, then another, then a third. They pulled into the parking lot slowly, deliberately, like predators circling prey. Jack counted. 12 men stepped out, armed, angry. Victor Crane emerged from the lead vehicle. He was dressed differently tonight. Dark suit, polished shoes, like he was attending a funeral rather than starting one. "Everyone in position," Jack said quietly. "Remember, we don't fire first. We don't attack first. We defend."
"What about me?"
Elena asked. "You stay behind me. And when I give the signal, you start recording. Everything that happens tonight, the whole world needs to see."
"Jack."
"Promise me." She hesitated, then nodded.
"I promise."
The front door burst open. Victor walked in like he owned the place, because in his mind, he always had. Behind him, 8 men fanned out. Rico was there, his jaw still swollen from the night before. Blade was there, a new knife gleaming in his hand. "Well, well," Victor's voice echoed through the diner. "The whole gang's here. How touching." Jack stepped forward. "Victor." "Jack Brennan, the hero of Millbrook," Victor smiled. "Do you know what happens to heroes in my town?" "They fight back. They die." Victor's eyes swept the room. "Look at this. Shopkeepers, old women, a sick man in a booth." His gaze landed on Elena. "And you, the little girl who started all this."
"I didn't start anything. You did."
"Wrong answer," Victor nodded. 2 of his men moved toward Elena. Ghost snarled. The men stopped. "That dog again," Victor laughed. "I've been thinking about that mutt all week. Thinking about what I'm going to do to him when this is over. Touch him and you'll lose the hand." "Threats?" Victor pulled a gun from his jacket. "I'm done with threats. Tonight, we finish this, one way or another." "Then finish it." Victor raised the gun. The room held its breath. Jack didn't move, didn't flinch. His eyes stayed locked on Victor's, calm and steady. "You won't shoot me." "Give me one reason." "Because you're being watched." Victor's smile faltered. Elena stepped into view, phone raised, red light blinking. "Live stream," she said. "Started 5 minutes ago. 12,000 viewers and counting. Say hi, Victor." "You little—" "Careful. Your uncle might be watching." Victor's face twisted with rage. For a moment, Jack thought he would shoot anyway. Consequences be damned. "She's bluffing," Rico said. "Has to be. Check your phone, Rico. Check the news."
"Check anything you want."
Elena's voice was steady now. Dangerous. "This is going everywhere. Every word you say, every threat you make, every crime you're about to commit. The whole world is watching." Victor's hand trembled. "You think this changes anything? You think a phone is going to stop me?" "I think 60,000 people are now witnesses to whatever happens next. I think the state police are on their way. I think your uncle can't protect you from what's coming." "My uncle is being arrested right now," Jack's voice cut through. "Detective Chen had more than just evidence on you. She had everything on Holt, too. The bribes, the cover-ups, the disappearances. By tomorrow morning, he'll be in a cell next to yours." Victor's face went white. "You're lying." "Am I? Want to call him? Want to see if he answers?" Silence. Victor's men shifted uneasily. The math was changing. The odds were turning. "Boss," Blade said quietly, "maybe we should—" "Shut up. But if the cops are really coming—" "I said shut up." Victor's hand was shaking now. The gun wavered. Jack took a step forward. "It's over, Victor. You can walk away. Right now. Take your men and disappear before the state police get here.
Start over somewhere else. Live.
Walk away? Victor's voice cracked. After everything you've done? After you humiliated me? Destroyed my business? Turned my own town against me?
I didn't destroy anything.
You did.
Years ago. I just held up the mirror.
No. Victor's eyes went wild. No, I'm not running. I'm not hiding. I'm Victor Crane. I own this town. I own these people. And I'm going to remind everyone why they should be afraid. He swung the gun toward Elena, starting with her. Ghost moved. 70 pounds of muscle and fury launched across the room. His jaws closed around Victor's wrist. Bone crunched. The gun clattered to the floor. Victor screamed. His men surged forward.
Tom Crawford swung his bat, connected with Rico's kneecap. Rico went down howling. An older woman, Martha's friend Clara, threw a pot of coffee at Blade. He stumbled back, clawing at his face. Ghost released Victor's wrist and spun, teeth bared, putting himself between Elena and the chaos. "Get down!" Jack shouted. He grabbed Elena, pulled her behind an overturned table. A gunshot split the air. Someone screamed. Jack looked up. One of Victor's men had fired into the ceiling, a warning shot that froze everyone in place. "Nobody move," the man shouted. "Next one goes through someone's head." The diner went silent. Victor was on the ground, clutching his mangled wrist, blood soaking through his expensive suit. "Kill them," he gasped. "Kill them all." "Boss, there's cameras, there's witnesses. We can't—" "I don't care. Do it!" The man raised his gun. Sirens, distant at first, then louder, getting closer. Victor's men looked at each other. "That's the state police," Jack said. 2 minutes out, maybe less. "You can shoot us, but you'll never make it out of this parking lot." "He's bluffing," Victor spat. "Has to be." "Look outside. Count the lights." Red and blue flickered through the windows. 3 cars. 4. More coming. "Boss," Blade's voice shook. "We need to go. Now." No, we've finished this. It's over." Rico was back on his feet, barely. "Victor, it's over." "We stay. We all go to prison. Maybe worse." Victor looked around, at his bleeding wrist, at his men backing toward the door, at the cameras recording everything. "This isn't finished," he snarled at Jack. "You hear me? This isn't—" The front door burst open. State troopers poured in, weapons drawn. "Everyone down! Hands where we can see them!" Victor's men dropped to the floor. Some tried to run, and were tackled before they made it 3 steps. Victor stayed standing, swaying, his face pale from blood loss and rage. "Do you know who I am?" he screamed. "Do you know who my uncle is?" "Your uncle is in custody." A trooper stepped forward, cuffs ready. "Victor Crane, you're under arrest for extortion, assault, attempted murder, and about a dozen other charges we'll figure out on the way to the station." "You can't do this. I have rights. You have the right to remain silent. I'd recommend using it." They forced him to his knees, cuffed his hands behind his back, carefully, avoiding the mangled wrist. Victor's eyes found Jack. "This isn't over." "Yeah, it is. I'll get out. I'll find you. You'll rot in a cell thinking about the night you lost everything." Jack walked over, stood above him. "And every day you'll remember that it wasn't a cop who beat you. It wasn't a soldier. It was a diner. A family. Ordinary people who got tired of being afraid." Victor's face twisted, but for once, he had nothing to say. They dragged him out. The sirens kept wailing. More troopers arrived. EMTs rushed in to check on the wounded. Jack stood in the middle of the chaos, Ghost pressed against his leg, watching. Elena found him. "We did it." "We survived."
Same thing, isn't it? Jack looked at her, at the blood on her shirt from where she'd helped someone wounded, at the tears on her face that she hadn't bothered to wipe, at the strength that had carried her through the worst night of her life. Yeah, I think it is. She threw her arms around him. He held her. For the first time in 3 years, Jack Brennan let himself hold someone without waiting for them to leave. Danny arrived 20 minutes later. He came through the door with his gun drawn, ready for war, and found nothing but aftermath. What the hell did I miss? Everything. Jack almost smiled. You're late. Traffic was murder, literally. Some idiot flipped his truck on the highway. Danny looked around. You okay? I'm standing. That's not what I asked. Jack looked at Elena, who was helping her father sit up. At Tom Crawford, getting his arm bandaged by an EMT. At Ghost, who had finally relaxed enough to lie down. Yeah, I think I'm okay. Danny nodded slowly. Martha's with the AG. She says the case is solid. Victor's going away for a long time. Holt, too. Good. There's more. Danny hesitated. They found something while executing the search warrant on Victor's property. What? A body, buried behind the warehouse. Danny's voice dropped. They think it's Ramon Vega. Jack closed his eyes. Ramon Vega. The auto parts store owner who'd tried to fight back. The man who disappeared a year ago, whose wife still put flowers at his store every Sunday. His family? Being notified now. That's something at least. Closure. It's not enough. No, but it's a start. Elena walked over. Her eyes were red, but her voice was steady. They're taking my father to the hospital, just for observation. His heart. Go with him. But go. I'll be here when you get back. She hesitated, then reached up, touched his face. Thank you. For everything. Don't thank me yet. The hard part's just starting. What hard part? Jack watched the troopers loading Victor into a car. Watched the EMTs carrying out the wounded. Watched the townspeople emerge from their hiding spots, blinking in the flashing lights, like survivors crawling out of a bunker. The part where we rebuild. Elena looked at him for a long moment. We? If you want. Something shifted in her eyes. Not hope exactly, but something close to it. I want. She kissed his cheek. Quick, soft, a promise. Then she was gone, following the stretcher carrying her father into the night. Jack watched her go. Danny clapped him on the shoulder. So, what now? Jack looked around the diner. At the bullet holes and bloodstains. At the broken furniture and shattered windows. At the life he'd stumbled into and somehow found worth fighting for. Now we clean up, and tomorrow we start again. That's simple? Nothing's simple, but it's what needs to be done. Danny nodded. Then let's get to work. They worked through the night, sweeping glass, mopping blood, righting tables and chairs. Ghost followed Jack everywhere, never more than a few feet away. By dawn, the diner looked almost normal. Damaged, but standing. Wounded, but alive. Just like all of them. Jack stood at the window, watching the sunrise, red and gold spreading across a sky that had seen too much darkness. His phone buzzed. Elena. How's your father? Stable. Doctors say he'll be okay. His heart held. Her voice cracked. Jack, I don't know how to thank you. You already did. That's not enough. It's more than enough. He paused. When are you coming back? This afternoon. The doctors want to run more tests. She hesitated. Will you be there? I'll be here. Promise? Jack looked at the diner. At Ghost. At the new day breaking over a town that
that had finally remembered how to fight back. Promise. He hung up. Danny appeared beside him with 2 cups of coffee. You look like hell. Feel like it too. Worth it? Jack thought about the question, about the fear he'd lived with for 3 years, about the walls he'd built, the people he'd pushed away, the life he'd convinced himself he didn't deserve. And then he thought about Elena, about the way she'd stood up to Victor even when she was terrified, about the strength she'd found when everyone else had given up. Yeah, he said finally. Worth it. Danny handed him a cup. Then drink up. Long day ahead. Long life ahead. Danny smiled. Is that hope I hear? Maybe. Been a while. Might need some practice. We've got time. Jack looked out the window. At the parking lot where Victor had made his last stand. At the road that led to a future he was finally ready to face. Yeah, he said quietly. We've got time. Ghost padded over, pressed against Jack's leg. Those amber eyes looked up at him, patient and knowing. You did good, boy. Ghost's tail wagged, just once, but it was enough. 1 week later, Jack Brennan woke up to sunlight. It was the first time in 3 years he'd slept past dawn. The first time he hadn't jerked awake at 3 a.m., sweating, reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. Ghost was already up, watching him from the foot of the bed. What are you looking at? The dog's tail wagged once. Yeah, I know. Feels weird to me, too. Jack's phone buzzed. Elena. Morning. My father wants you at the diner. Says it's important. Important how? He won't tell me. Just keeps smiling and muttering in Spanish. She paused. Jack, I think he's planning something. Should I be worried? I don't think so, but... Elena hesitated. Just come, please. 20 minutes. He hung up, looked at Ghost. What do you think? The dog stretched, yawned, and padded toward the door. Helpful as always. Jack showered, dressed, grabbed his keys. The drive to Sunrise Diner took 12 minutes. He'd made it so many times now, he could do it with his eyes closed. But today, something was different. Cars lined the street, dozens of them. More people than Jack had seen in Millbrook since he'd arrived. He parked at the edge of the crowd and stepped out. What the hell? Tom Crawford pushed through toward him. There you are. We've been waiting. Waiting for what? For you. Tom grabbed his arm. Come on. They pushed through the crowd. People parted, nodding at Jack, some reaching out to touch his shoulder, his arm. Thank you, an old woman whispered. God bless you, a young father said, clutching his daughter's hand. Jack didn't understand, didn't know what to say. Then they reached the diner, and he saw it. A banner stretched across the front, hand-painted in red and gold. Brennan's Auto Shop, grand reopening. Below it, a table covered with tools. Wrenches, screwdrivers, diagnostic equipment. Everything he'd need to start over. Elena stood beside it, smiling. Surprise! Jack couldn't speak. The town took up a collection, she said. Everyone chipped in. Shop owners, families, even people who never met you. They wanted to say thank you. I can't. You can. Miguel stepped forward. He moved slowly, carefully, but his eyes were bright, clear. You saved my daughter. You saved my business. You saved this town. He pressed something into Jack's hand. A key. The old Miller property on 5th Street. It's yours, rent-free for 5 years. Mr. Morales. Miguel. You call me Miguel now, or Papa, if you prefer. The old man smiled. My wife would have insisted. Jack looked at the key, at the tools, at the faces surrounding him, Strangers who had become something more. His throat tightened. I don't know what to say. Say you'll stay, Elena said softly. He met her eyes. I'll stay. The crowd erupted. Applause, cheers. Someone started a chant that dissolved into laughter. Danny appeared at his side. Damn, brother, you're a celebrity. I'm a mechanic. You're more than that now, Danny grinned. Better get used to it. Martha Webb approached, her sharp eyes softer than Jack had ever seen them. The Attorney General called me this morning. Victor's trial is set for next month. They want you to testify. I'll be there. There's more, Martha hesitated. They're investigating the disappearance of Ramon Vega, the auto parts store owner who vanished. Did they find him? They found enough. The body behind Victor's warehouse. DNA confirmed it yesterday. Martha's voice dropped. Ramon's wife called me this morning. She wanted me to thank you. For what? For giving her the truth. For letting her finally say goodbye. Jack closed his eyes. He thought about Ramon Vega, a man he'd never met, a man who'd tried to fight back and paid the ultimate price. It's not enough. Justice doesn't bring him back. No, but it's a start. Martha touched his arm. That's all any of us can do. Start. The celebration continued through the afternoon. Food appeared from everywhere. Casseroles, fried chicken, pies that seemed to multiply every time Jack turned around. He ate without tasting, shook hands without counting, smiled until his face hurt. Through it all, Ghost stayed at his side. The dog seemed to sense the strangeness of it, the noise, the attention, the overwhelming gratitude. You okay, boy? Ghost looked up at him. Yeah. Me neither. Elena found him sitting on the back steps, away from the crowd. Hiding? Breathing. She sat beside him, close enough that their shoulders touched. Too much? I'm not used to this. People being grateful. You saved their town. I did what anyone would do. No! Elena's voice was firm. You did what no one else would do. That's the difference. They sat in silence for a moment. My father wants to talk to you, Elena said finally. About what? I don't know. He's been acting strange all morning. Making phone calls. Speaking in Spanish. Won't tell me anything. Should I be worried? I don't think so. But he's definitely planning something. Let's find out. They found Miguel in the kitchen, hunched over his phone, speaking rapidly in a language Jack didn't understand. He saw them and ended the call. Jack, good. Sit. Miguel, sit, please. Jack sat. Elena stood behind him, arms crossed. What's going on, Papa? Miguel folded his hands on the table. I have been thinking about what happened, about what you did for us. He looked at Jack. And I have been thinking about the future. What about it? This diner. It has been my dream for 40 years. But I am 64. My heart is not good. My hands shake when I cook. Miguel paused. I cannot do this forever. Papa, don't talk like that. Let me finish. Miguel raised a hand. I have been speaking with my brother in California. He has money. Investors. He wants to help me expand. Jack didn't understand. Expand? A second location, maybe a third. Miguel's eyes gleamed. But I cannot run one restaurant, let alone 3. I need help. Someone I trust. Someone who understands what this place means. He looked at Elena. And I need someone to protect it. To make sure what happened never happens again. He looked at Jack. I am offering you a partnership. Jack stared. Me? You, Elena, together. Miguel leaned forward. My daughter has brains. You have courage. Together, you could build something bigger than a diner.
Something that matters. Miguel, I'm a mechanic. I fix cars. I don't know anything about running a restaurant. You know about people. You know about loyalty. You know about standing up when everyone else sits down. Miguel smiled. Those are the only qualifications that matter. Elena grabbed Jack's arm. Say yes.
This is crazy. Say yes anyway. Jack looked at her, at the hope in her eyes, at the future she was offering, a future he'd never imagined, never dared to want. I need to think about it. Think fast, Miguel stood. My brother's investors want an answer by the end of the week. He walked out, leaving Jack and Elena alone. This is insane, Jack said. Is it? I don't know anything about business, about restaurants, about any of this. Neither did my father when he started. He learned. Elena moved closer. We can learn together. Elena, what are you afraid of? The question hit him like a punch. Everything, he admitted. Failing, hurting you, staying in one place long enough to care about something, and then watching it fall apart. That's not fear, that's life. Same thing. No. Elena took his hands. Fear is running. Fear is hiding. Fear is what you've been doing for 3 years. Her voice softened. This is something else. This is a chance. A real chance at something good. And if it doesn't work, then we try again, and again, and again. She squeezed his hands. That's what my parents did. That's what my father's still doing. The only real failure is giving up. Jack looked at their joined hands, at the calluses on his palms and the determination in her eyes. You really believe that? I believe in you. 3 words. Simple. Devastating. Jack felt something shift inside him. The wall he'd built, the one that kept everyone at a distance, cracked a little more. Okay, he said. Okay. I'll do it. The partnership. Whatever this is, he exhaled. I'll try. Elena's face lit up. Really? Don't make me repeat it. She threw her arms around him, held tight. Thank you. For what? For staying. For choosing us. Jack held her, let himself be held. For the first time in 3 years, it didn't feel like a mistake. The week passed in a blur. Lawyers arrived from California. Contracts were signed. Plans were drawn up for a second location. A larger space across town with room for expansion. Jack found himself in meetings he didn't understand, nodding at financial projections and market analyses that might as well have been written in another language. But Elena was there, translating, explaining, making sense of the chaos. You're good at this, he told her one evening. I've been watching my parents my whole life. Some of it rubbed off. More than some, she smiled. Is that a compliment? An observation. From you, I'll take it. The new garage opened on a Tuesday. It wasn't much, a small building, second-hand equipment, a hand-painted sign, but it was his, truly his. Built not from scraps, but from community, from gratitude, from doing the right thing at the right time. Danny was his first customer. Oil change, he announced, driving his battered truck onto the lift, and don't cheap out on the parts. You can't afford my parts. Put it on my tab. You don't have a tab. Then start one. They worked together, music playing from a scratchy radio, Ghost dozing in a patch of sunlight. So, Danny said, wiping grease from his hands, you and Elena. What about us? Don't play dumb. I see how you look at her. I don't look at her anyway. Brother,
You look at her like she's the first sunrise after a year of darkness." Jack didn't respond. Danny laughed. "You're allowed to be happy, you know. That's not against the rules." "There are rules?" "Unwritten ones. The ones that say men like us don't get second chances. Don't deserve them." Danny's voice softened. "But that's bullshit. We're still here. We're still breathing. That means something." "Does it?" "It means we get to choose, every day, what we do with the time we have left." Danny looked at him. "So what are you going to choose?" Jack thought about the question. What was he going to choose? The garage was starting to attract customers, word of mouth spreading, people driving from 2 towns over to have the hero work on their cars. The partnership with Miguel was moving forward. Construction would begin next month. Elena was everywhere, helping her father, managing the expansion, finding time to sit with Jack in his booth at the diner, talking about everything and nothing. Life was happening. Real life. The kind he'd stopped believing in. "I don't know," Jack admitted. "I've never been good at choosing. Just surviving." "Then maybe it's time to learn the difference." That night, Jack walked through town with Ghost. The streets were quiet, peaceful. The fear that had hung over Millbrook like a fog had finally lifted. He passed the hardware store, where Tom Crawford was just closing up. "Jack, how's the new shop?" "Coming together." "Good. You need anything, you let me know." "Thanks, Tom." He passed the pharmacy, where an old woman waved through the window. He passed the school, where children's artwork decorated the fence, including a drawing of a dog with a cape and the words, "Ghost the Hero," scrawled in crayon. He stopped. "Look at that, boy." Ghost looked at the drawing. His tail wagged. "You're famous." The dog sneezed. "Yeah, me neither." They continued walking. Jack found himself at the edge of town, near the old cemetery where generations of Millbrook residents lay buried. He walked through the gates. He didn't know why. Didn't know what he was looking for. Then he found it. A simple headstone, well-maintained. Fresh flowers in a small vase. Maria Elena Morales, 1960 to 2022. Beloved wife and mother. She believed in miracles. Elena's mother. Jack stood there for a long time. "I didn't know you," he said quietly. "But I know your daughter. And I think you'd be proud." The wind stirred. "I'll take care of them, I promise. Elena, Miguel, this town." He paused. "I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if any of this matters. But I wanted you to know." Ghost pressed against his leg. Jack reached down, touched the dog's head. "Let's go home." Home. The word felt strange in his mouth, but for the first time, it didn't feel like a lie. The diner was closing when he arrived. Elena was wiping down tables, humming something soft. "Hey." She looked up. "Hey yourself. Long walk?" "Long thoughts." "Want to share?" Jack hesitated. "I went to see your mother." Elena stopped wiping. "What?" "The cemetery. I found her headstone." He sat in his usual booth. "I hope that's okay." Elena set down her cloth. "Why did you go there?" "I'm not sure. I just wanted to tell her something." "Tell her what?" Jack looked at her. "That I'm going to take care of her family. That I'm going to try to be worthy of the trust you've placed in me." His voice dropped. "That I'm not going to run anymore." Elena's eyes glistened. "She would have liked you." "You think so?" "I know so." Elena slid into the booth across from him. "She always said the best people were the ones who didn't think they were good enough. The ones who kept trying anyway." "That sounds like wisdom." "It was.
She was the wisest person I ever knew.
Elena reached across the table, took his hand. Until now. I'm not wise.
You're learning. That's better.
They sat in silence, hands intertwined.
Jack?
Yeah?
Thank you.
For what?
For not giving up. On us. On yourself.
Elena squeezed his hand.
My mother used to say that miracles aren't magic. They're just ordinary people making extraordinary choices.
And you think I made that choice?
I think you make it every day, even when it's hard.
It's still hard.
I know,
She smiled.
but you're not alone anymore.
The door opened. Miguel walked in, saw them holding hands, and smiled. About time, he muttered.
Papa!
What? I have eyes. He walked past toward the kitchen. I'm making coffee. You want some?
Yes, Jack said.
Good, because we have things to discuss. The investors called. They want to accelerate the timeline.
Accelerate how?
They want the second location open in 3 months, not 6.
That's impossible.
That's business. Miguel disappeared into the kitchen. Drink your coffee. We have work to do. Elena laughed. Welcome to the family. Family. Another word that used to feel like a lie. But maybe he was learning to believe it. Jack's phone rang at 3 a.m. He jerked awake, fumbling for the device. Hello? Mr. Brennan? A man's voice, official, tense. This is Agent William Foster, FBI. We need to talk about Victor Crane. Jack sat up. Ghost was already on his feet, sensing the tension. What about him? He escaped from custody 2 hours ago, killed a guard, took his weapon. Foster paused. And we have reason to believe he's heading back to Millbrook. Jack's blood went cold.
For what?
For you, and everyone who helped put him away. Foster's voice hardened. Mr. Bremen, Victor Crane has nothing left to lose. That makes him more dangerous than ever. He's coming for revenge, and he won't stop until he gets it. What do you want me to do? Get everyone you care about to safety. We're sending agents, but they won't arrive until morning. And until then? Until then, you're on your own. The line went dead. Jack stared at the phone. Ghost whimpered. We're not done, Jack whispered. Not yet. He reached for his clothes. He reached for his keys. And he prepared to fight one last time. Jack called Elena first. Don't talk. Just listen. Victor escaped. He's coming. Get your father and go to the police station. Now.
Jack,
Now, Elena, please.
I'm not leaving you.
You're not leaving me. You're staying alive. His voice cracked. I can't do this if I'm worried about you. I need to know you're safe. Silence. Elena.
Fine, but Jack,
What?
come back to me. Promise.
He closed his eyes. I promise. He hung up before she could hear the doubt in his voice. Danny answered on the second ring.
What's wrong?
Victor's out. Killed a guard. FBI says he's heading here.
Jesus Christ.
Rustling. Movement. I'm on my way. No. Go to the diner. Protect Elena and Miguel. Make sure they get to safety.
What about you?
I'm going to end this.
Jack, don't be stupid.
I've been stupid my whole life. This is the first smart thing I've done in years.
Brother,
Just keep them safe. That's all I'm asking. He hung up. Ghost was already at the door, body tense, eyes gleaming. One more time, boy. You and me. The dog's tail didn't wag. This wasn't a game. They both knew it. Jack grabbed his keys. He knew where Victor would go. Not the diner, not Elena's apartment, not anywhere obvious. Victor would go to the place where it all started. The place where he'd been humiliated. The place where his empire began to crumble.
The parking lot of Sunrise Diner. Jack was right. A single figure stood in the center of the empty lot, illuminated by the flickering neon sign. Victor Crane. He looked different. Prison had carved away whatever softness remained. His eyes were hollow, his face gaunt, his body coiled with the desperate energy of a man who had nothing left to lose. And in his hand, a gun. Jack parked, stepped out. Ghost followed. "I knew you'd come," Victor said. "I knew you would too." "Then you know how this ends." "Yeah." Jack walked forward slowly. "I do." Victor raised the gun. "Stop right there." Jack stopped. 20 feet between them, close enough to see the madness in Victor's eyes, far enough that any move would be suicide. "You ruined me," Victor said. His voice cracked. "Everything I built, everything I was, gone because of you." "You ruined yourself. I just held up the mirror." "Shut up!" Victor's hand shook. "You don't know anything about me, about what I've been through, about what I had to do to survive." "I know exactly what you did. Extortion, murder, destroying lives because it made you feel powerful." Jack's voice hardened. "That's not survival. That's weakness." "Weakness?" Victor laughed. Wild, unhinged. "I owned this town. People feared me, respected me." "Fear isn't respect. It's the opposite." "What would you know about it? You're just a broken soldier playing hero." "Maybe, but at least I'm not alone." Victor flinched. "What?" "Look at you. 3 a.m, standing in a parking lot with a gun. No one beside you. No one coming to help." Jack shook his head. "You spent your whole life taking from people, and now you have nothing. No one. I don't need anyone. Everyone needs someone." "I needed my family," Victor screamed. The gun wavered. "I needed my father, and he left. I needed my mother, and she died. I needed someone to give a damn about me, and no one did." Jack felt something shift. Not sympathy, but understanding. "So you decided to make everyone else feel as empty as you?" Victor's face crumbled. "They deserved it. All of them. Living their happy little lives while I had nothing. While I clawed my way up from nothing. And now? Now I'm going to take everything back, starting with you." "Killing me won't fix anything." "It'll make me feel better." "Will it?" Jack took a step forward. "I've killed people, Victor. More than I can count. And you know what I learned? It doesn't fill the hole. It just makes it bigger." "Stop talking." "You think revenge is going to bring you peace? It won't. It never does. Trust me. I spent 3 years looking for it at the bottom of a bottle, at the end of every road, in every fight I could find." Jack's voice dropped. It wasn't there. It was never there. Victor's hand trembled. "Then where is it?" "In the people who stand beside you. In the things you build instead of destroy. In choosing to be better than the worst thing you've done." "It's too late for that." "It's not." Jack extended his hand. "Put down the gun, Victor. It's not too late." Victor stared at him. For a moment, just a moment, something human flickered in his eyes. Something broken and desperate and achingly sad. "You really believe that?" "I have to. Otherwise, what's the point?" Victor's arm lowered an inch. Then 2. The gun was almost at his side when headlights swept across the parking lot. A car. Coming fast. Victor's head snapped toward it. "No. No, this is a trap. You're stalling. I'm not. Victor, I swear." The car screeched to a halt. Elena jumped out. "Jack!" Victor's face twisted.
You. The gun came back up, aimed at Elena. This is your fault. All of it. If you just paid, if you just kept your mouth shut.
Elena, get back in the car. I'm not leaving you.
Touching. Victor's voice went cold, dead. Say goodbye. His finger tightened on the trigger. Ghost launched. The dog was a blur of fur and fury, faster than Jack had ever seen him move. He hit Victor at the shoulder, jaws closing around the arm holding the gun. The gun fired. Elena screamed. Ghost yelped. Victor went down, the dog on top of him, teeth sunk deep into flesh. Ghost! Jack sprinted forward. Ghost, release! The dog didn't let go. Blood poured from Victor's arm, and from Ghost's side, where the bullet had grazed him. Release! Ghost, release! Finally, the dog obeyed. He stumbled back, whimpering, one leg buckling. Jack caught him before he fell.
No, 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 no! Jack's hands pressed against the wound. Blood seeped between his fingers. Stay with me, boy. Stay with me.
Ghost's eyes found his, amber and ancient and full of trust.
Jack.
Elena was beside him. Jack, let me help.
He's bleeding. He's bleeding so much.
I know. I called 911. They're coming. She pulled off her jacket, pressed it against the wound. Hold this. Keep pressure. Victor groaned on the ground. His arm was mangled, the gun lying 3 feet away.
Elena, the gun. I've got it.
Danny's voice. He was there suddenly, kicking the weapon away, putting a boot on Victor's chest. Don't even think about moving. How did you? Elena called me. Said she was going to do something stupid. Danny's jaw tightened. Guess she wasn't the only one. Ghost. I know. Vet's on the way. Martha called everyone she knows. Danny looked down at Victor. This piece of garbage isn't going anywhere. Sirens, getting closer. Jack! Elena's voice was shaking. Jack, there's so much blood. He's going to be okay. He has to be okay. Jack looked into Ghost's eyes. You hear me, boy? You don't get to leave. Not now. Not after everything. Ghost's tail moved, just barely. A weak wag that said, I'm trying. That's it. That's it. Keep fighting. The ambulance arrived first. Then the police. Then what felt like half of Millbrook, drawn by sirens and rumors and the desperate need to know what had happened. They took Victor away in handcuffs, bleeding and cursing, promising revenge that no one believed anymore. They tried to take Ghost, too, but Jack wouldn't let go. Sir, we need to get the dog to a vet. I'm coming with him. Sir, I said I'm coming with him. Elena stepped forward. He's coming with him. Both of them. Or no one. The EMT looked at her. At Jack. At the dog bleeding in his arms. Fine. Get in. The ride to the veterinary clinic took 8 minutes. Jack counted every second. Ghost's breathing was shallow. His eyes kept closing. Stay with me. Come on, boy. Stay with me. Elena held Jack's hand. She didn't speak. Didn't need to. She was there. That was enough. The vet was named Dr. Sarah Mitchell. 60 years old, gray hair, hands that had saved hundreds of animals. She took one look at Ghost and started barking orders. Get him on the table. I need gauze, sutures, and someone who isn't going to faint. I'm not leaving him, Jack said. Then make yourself useful. Hold his head. Talk to him. Keep him calm. Jack knelt beside the table, cupped Ghost's face in his hands. Hey, boy. Hey. You're going to be okay. Dr. Mitchell's going to fix you up. You just have to hold on a little longer. Ghost whimpered. I know it hurts. I know. But you've been through worse. Remember Kandahar? Remember when you took that bullet for me? Jack's voice broke. You saved my life then. You saved it again tonight. So you don't get to give up. You hear me? You don't get to give up. The surgery took 2 hours. Jack didn't move, didn't eat, didn't drink.
Elena stayed beside him, her hand in his, anchoring him to the world. Danny came and went, updating them on Victor. Arrested, charged, this time with federal escape and attempted murder. He wasn't getting out again. Miguel called twice, crying both times, thanking God and every saint he could name.
Martha organized a prayer circle at the diner. Tom Crawford started a fund for Ghost's medical bills. The whole town held its breath. At 5:47 a.m., Dr. Mitchell emerged. Jack shot to his feet. "Is he?" "He's stable." The vet pulled off her gloves. "The bullet grazed his ribs, missed the lung by about an inch. He lost a lot of blood, but he's strong. Strongest dog I've ever worked on." "He's going to make it?" "He's going to make it." Dr. Mitchell smiled. "He'll need rest, lots of it, and he's too old for any more heroics. But yes, Mr. Brennan, your dog is going to be fine." Jack's legs gave out. He sat down hard, right there in the waiting room, and for the first time in 20 years, he cried. Not from sadness, from relief. Elena knelt beside him, wrapped her arms around him, held him while he shook. "It's okay," she whispered. "It's okay. He's okay. You're okay. We're all okay. I thought I lost him. I know. I can't lose him. He's all I have." "That's not true." Elena pulled back, cupped his face in her hands. "You have me. You have my father. You have this whole town." She smiled through her own tears. "You have a family now, Jack, whether you like it or not." Jack looked at her, at the woman who had stood up to a monster, at the woman who had refused to run when running would have been easier, at the woman who had chosen him again and again, despite every reason not to. "I love you." The words came out before he could stop them. Elena's breath caught. "What?" "I love you. I should have said it before. I should have said it the first night, when you brought me coffee and refused to let me leave." Jack's voice steadied. "I love you, Elena Morales. And if Ghost is okay, and Victor is gone, and we actually get to have a future, I want to spend it with you." Elena stared at him. Then she laughed. And then she kissed him. Not quick, not soft, deep and fierce, and full of everything they'd been through together. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. "I love you too, Jack Brennan, even though you're stubborn and reckless and terrible at asking for help. I'm working on it." "Work faster." He almost smiled. "Yes, ma'am." 6 months later, the sign above the diner had changed. Sunrise Diner, under new management. And below it, in smaller letters, "Where heroes eat free." Jack shook his head every time he saw it. "We should change that." "Why?" Elena asked. "Because I'm not a hero." "You keep saying that." "Because it's true." Elena stopped walking, turned to face him. "Do you know what makes someone a hero?" "Enlighten me." "It's not about being strong, or brave, or even doing the right thing." She took his hands. "It's about choosing, every day, when it's hard, when it hurts, when every instinct says run, and you stay anyway. That's not heroism. That's stubbornness." "Sometimes they're the same thing." Ghost barked once, soft, agreeing. He walked slower now, a slight limp from the bullet wound, but his eyes were still sharp, still watchful, still full of the quiet wisdom that had carried Jack through the darkest years of his life. "Maybe," Jack admitted. "Definitely." They walked inside together. The diner was full. Miguel was cooking, arguing with someone about the proper way to make enchiladas. Danny was at the counter, flirting with a waitress who was clearly not interested. Tom Crawford was teaching his grandson how to play checkers in a corner booth. Life. Ordinary, messy, beautiful life. This was what Jack had fought for. Not glory, not recognition, not any of the things the newspapers had written about him. Just this. Ordinary people in an ordinary place, living ordinary lives without fear. That was the miracle. Jack slid into his usual booth. Ghost settled at his feet with a contented sigh. Elena brought coffee without being asked. Same as always? Same as always. She smiled and walked away. Jack watched her go, watched the diner move around him, watched his life unfold in ways he'd never imagined possible. And for the first time in as long as he could remember, he felt at peace. Not because the battles were over. They never were. But because he'd finally learned what he was fighting for. The door opened. A young woman walked in, early 20s, tired eyes, a bruise on her cheek that she tried to hide with makeup. She looked around nervously, like she was searching for an exit. Jack recognized that look. He'd worn it himself once. He caught Elena's eye, nodded toward the newcomer. Elena approached the woman, spoke softly, guided her to a table, brought her coffee, listened. This was how it started, not with grand gestures or heroic speeches, with coffee, with listening, with small acts of kindness that said, "You're not alone. You matter. There's hope." Jack watched Elena work, watched the woman's shoulders slowly relax, watched fear give way to something that might, in time, become trust. This was the legacy. Not what he'd done, what they would all do every day for the rest of their lives. Standing up, speaking out, refusing to look away when looking away would be easier. Ghost's head lifted. The dog watched the young woman too. Those ancient amber eyes saw everything. The pain, the fear, the tiny spark of hope struggling to survive. And then, slowly, Ghost rose. He walked across the diner, stopped beside the woman's table, and gently, carefully, rested his head in her lap. The woman froze. Then her hand moved almost involuntarily to touch his fur. And she began to cry. Not from sadness, from relief. Elena looked at Jack. He nodded. They would help this woman, as they'd helped others, as others had helped them. The cycle continued. The story went on, because stories didn't end with final confrontations or dramatic last stands. They ended with the quiet choices that came after, the daily decisions to be kind, to be brave, to be present. The moments that didn't make headlines, but made all the difference. Jack Brennan, former Navy SEAL, former Ghost, former man without a purpose, finally understood. Heroes weren't made in single moments of courage. They were made in the thousand small moments that followed. In the choice to stay when leaving would be easier. In the choice to care when indifference would be safer. In the choice to love when fear whispered that love was weakness. Those were the choices that mattered. Those were the choices that saved lives. Those were the choices that changed the world, one person at a time. Jack finished his coffee, set down the cup, and smiled. Because sometimes miracles don't arrive with thunder and fire. Sometimes they come quietly. Through a tired man who refuses to look away. Through a loyal dog who senses danger before words are spoken. Through a young woman who discovers her own strength. Through a community that remembers how to stand together. And sometimes, just sometimes, they come through ordinary people making extraordinary choices. Not once, but every single day. Elena returned to his booth, slid in across from him, took his hand. "What are you thinking about?" "The future." "What about it?" Jack looked at her, at Ghost, at the diner full of people who had become family. "I think it's going to be good." Elena squeezed his hand. "I think so too." Outside, the sun was setting, red and gold spilling across a town that had learned to hope again. And inside Sunrise Diner, surrounded by the people he loved, Jack Brennan finally found what he'd been searching for his entire life. Not redemption, not forgiveness. Home. The end.